This is dreadful, Father Dominic said. Really, really dreadful. I've talked with her until I was blue in the face, and she won't listen. And now, the first day back, this happens? I'm going to have to advise that young man stay home until we get this resolved. I laughed. How are you going to do that? Tell him his dead girlfriend's trying to kill him? Oh yeah, that'll go over well with the Monsignor. Not at all. Father Dom opened a drawer and started rifling through it. With a little ingenuity, I can see that Mr. Martinson is out for a solid week or two. Oh, no way! I felt myself go pale. You're going to poison him? I thought you were a priest. Isn't there a rule against that sort of thing? Poison? No, Susanna. I was thinking of giving him head lice. The nurse checks for them once a semester. I'll just see that young Mr. Martinson comes down with a bad case of them. Oh my God, I shrieked. That's disgusting. You can't put lice in that guy's hair. Father Dominic looked up from his drawer. Why ever not? It will serve our purposes exactly. Keep him out of harm's way long enough for you and I to talk some sense into Miss Chambers, and you can't put lice in that guy's hair, I said again, more vehemently than was, perhaps, necessary. I don't know why I was so against the idea, except that, well, he had such nice hair. I'd gotten a pretty close look at it when we'd been sprawled on the ground together. It was curly, soft-looking, the kind of hair I can picture running my fingers through. The thought of bugs crawling around in it turned my stomach. How did that kid's rhyme go? You gazed into my eyes. What could I do but linger? I ran my hands all through your hair, and a cootie bit my finger. Aw, geez, I said, sitting down on top of the desk. Hold the lice, will you? Let me deal with Heather. You say you've been talking to her for how long now? A week? Since the new year, Father Dominic said. Yes. That's when she first showed up here. I can see now she's just been waiting for Bryce. Right. Well, let me take care of it. Maybe she just needs a little dose of girl talk. I don't know, Father Dominic regarded me a little dubiously. I really feel that you have a bit of a propensity toward the physical. The role of a mediator is supposed to be a non-violent one, Susanna. You are supposed to be someone who helps troubled spirits, not hurts them. Hello? Were you out there just now? You think I was just supposed to stand there and talk that beam into not crushing that guy's skull? Of course not. I'm just saying that if you tried a little compassion... Hey, I have plenty of compassion, Father. My heart bleeds for this girl. It really does. But this is my school. Got it? Mine. Not hers. Not anymore. She made her decision, and now she's got to stick with it. And I'm not letting her take Bryce, or anyone else, down with her. Well, Father Dominic looked skeptical. Well, if you're sure... Oh, I'm sure. I hopped off his desk. Just leave it to me, all right? Father Dominic said, all right. But he said it kind of faintly, I noticed. I had to get him to write me a hall pass so I could get back to class without getting busted by one of the nuns. I was waiting for one of them, a pinch-faced novice, to finish scrutinizing this pass before she'd let me go on down the corridor, when a side door marked nurse opened, and out stepped Bryce with a hall pass of his own. Hey, I couldn't help blurting out. What happened? Did anything else happen? Are you hurt? He grinned a bit sheepishly. No. Well, unless you could count this wicked splinter I got under my thumbnail. I was trying to brush all those little pieces of wood off my pants, and one of them got under there, and... He held up his right hand. A large bandage had been wrapped around his thumb. Yikes, I said. I know. He looked mournful. She used merochrome, too. I hate that stuff. Man, I said, you have had a rotten day. Not really, he said, putting his thumb down. At least, not as bad as it would have been if you hadn't been here. If it weren't for you, I'd be dead. He noticed that I'd come from the door marked principal and asked, Did you get in trouble or something? No, I said. Father Dominic just wanted me to fill out some forms. I'm new, And as a new student, the novice said severely, you ought to be made aware that loitering in the halls is not allowed. Both of you had better get to your classes. I apologized and took back my pass. Bryce very chivalrously offered to show me where my next class was, and the novice went away, seemingly satisfied. As soon as she was out of earshot, Bryce said, You're Suze, right? Jake told me about you. You're his new stepsister from New York. That's me, I said. And you're Bryce Martinson. Oh, Jake's mentioned me? I almost laughed out loud at the idea of Sleepy mentioning much of anything. I said, no, It wasn't Jake. He said, "Oh," in such a sad voice that I almost felt sorry for him. I guess people must be talking about me, huh? A little. I took the plunge. "I'm sorry about what happened with your girlfriend." "So am I, believe me." If he was mad that I'd brought the subject up, you couldn't tell. I didn't even want to come back here after, I tried to transfer to RLS, but they're full. Even the public school didn't want me. It's tough to transfer with only one semester to go. I wouldn't have to come back here at all, except that, well, colleges generally want you to have graduated from high school before they'll let you in. I laughed. "I've heard that." Anyway, Bryce noticed I was holding my coat. I'd been dragging it around all day since I couldn't use my locker, the door having been dented permanently shut when I knocked Heather into it, and said, "Want me to carry that for you?" I was so shocked by this civility that without even thinking, I said sure, and passed it over to him. He folded it over one arm and said, "So I guess everybody must be blaming me for what happened. To Heather, I mean." "I don't think so," I said. "If anything, people are blaming Heather for what happened to Heather." "Yeah," Bryce said. "But I drove her to it, That's the thing. If I just hadn't broken up with her, you have a plenty high opinion of yourself, don't you?" He looked taken aback. "What?" "Well, your assumption that she killed herself because you broke up with her. I don't think that's why she killed herself at all. She killed herself because she was sick. You had nothing to do with making her that way. Your breaking up with her may have acted as sort of a catalyst for her final breakdown, but it could just have easily been some other crisis in her life. Her parents getting divorced, her not making the cheerleader squad, her cat dying, anything. So try not to be so hard on yourself." We were at the door to my classroom. Geometry, I think it was, with Sister Mary Catherine. I turned to him and took my coat back. "Well, this is my stop. Thanks for the lift." He held onto one sleeve of my coat. "Hey," he said, looking down at me. It was hard to see his eyes. It was pretty dark beneath the breezeway, shadowed as it was from the sun, but I remembered from when we'd fallen down together that his eyes were blue. A really nice blue. "Hey, listen," he said. "Let me take you out tonight, to thank you for saving my life and everything." "Thanks," I said, giving my coat a tug. "But I already have plans." I didn't add that my plans involved him in a most intimate manner. "Tomorrow night, then," he said, still not relinquishing my coat. "Look," I said, "I'm not allowed to go out on school nights." This was patently true. Except for the fact that the police have brought me home a few times, my mother trusted me implicitly. If I wanted to go out with a boy on a school night, she'd have let me. The thing is, the subject had never really come up. No boy ever had offered to take me out on a school night, or any other for that matter. Not that I'm a dog or anything. I'm no Cindy Crawford, but I'm not exactly busted either. I guess the drift of the matter is, I was always considered something of a weirdo, in my old school. Girls who spent a lot of time talking to themselves and getting in trouble with the police generally are. Don't get me wrong, occasionally new guys would show up at school and they'd express some interest in me, but only until someone who knew me filled them in. Then they'd avoid me like I had the plague or something. East Coast boys, what did they know? But now I had a chance to start all over with a new population of boys who had no idea about my past. Well, except for Sleepy and Dopey, and I doubted they would tell, since neither of them are what you call, verbal. Neither of them had evidently gotten to Bryce anyway, since the next words out of his mouth were, "This weekend, then. What are you doing Saturday night?" I wasn't sure if it was such a good idea to get involved with a guy whose dead girlfriend was trying to kill him. What if she found out and resented me for it? I was sure Father Dominic wouldn't think it was very cool, me going out with Bryce. Then again, how often did a girl like me get asked out by a totally hot guy like Bryce Martinson? "Okay," I said. "Saturday it is. Pick me up at 7? He grinned. He had very nice teeth, white and even. 7, he said, letting go of my coat. "See you then, if not before." "See you then." I stood with my hand on the door to Sister Mary Catherine's geometry class. "Oh, and Bryce?" He had started down the breezeway toward his own classroom. "Yeah? Watch your back." I think he winked at me, but it was kind of hard to tell in the shade.